All right, we're going to do the weekly recap of all the fun stuff that came to Marvel Strike Force, and there is a ton. What do we got today, Combs? Tell me the most exciting thing you think there is.
What? Okay, the most exciting thing for me is that they told us Carnage is coming soon. I'm so excited. That's my favorite.
And his kit is amazing. Reminds me of Vision in a sense that we're not forced into that inorganic synergies. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about. Let's talk about some stuff that didn't make the patch notes. First thing is that the menus scroll a lot better now. And it looks like that you're using 60 frames per second in the menus, but they are not using that in game. It's still 30 frames in game. Did you notice that?
Everybody had been talking about everything being better, and I noticed, like you said, the menus were smoother, but other than that, I hadn't noticed anything, so it makes sense that they hadn't changed anything else.
Okay, and then, as everybody knows, War Machine's into the game, and I unlocked War Machine. Did you unlock War Machine?
I did not. I really wasn't super impressed with his kit, so I didn't bother.
Okay, I will make another video about it, but he's a little lackluster. What is the feeling you're getting from other people?
So everything I've heard as far as talking to other people, even like including whales who have taken him up to like tier 11, tier 12, like 7-star, they just said he just doesn't do it. Like he's there, he looks cool, his animations are cool. He just doesn't do the damage, he's all right.
He's all right. Yeah, so we're going to get to that. I'm going to have to do more testing myself because I think there's a fun team. The logical team to put together would be Captain America, Black Widow, Iron Man, Vision, and War Machine. And I love War Machine. And I was hoping that forced taunt when characters' health fall below 50% would be a great way of getting around S.H.I.E.L.D. security against S.H.I.E.L.D. teams, but we will have to see. It's definitely helpful, that's for sure. But we got to get to the stuff that is really good. And most of the video is going to be talking about the kits for both Mantis and Carnage. And I know you are a huge Carnage fan. And so we're going to talk about Carnage first. But Mantis is everything that I wanted out of the Groot rework that I did not get. But let's get into Carnage first. First things first, his basic attack, Cleave. Attack primary target for 280% damage. If the primary target has a negative effect, chain 1 to 2 adjacent targets for 90% damage and spread 2 negative effects from the primary target to secondary targets. Will not spread. Stun and counterattack breaks this chain. What are your thoughts?
I just think that while the damage may not be humongous, spreading those negative side effects could be huge, man. Like, just on a basic. That's crazy.
Right. When we first saw this kit, my first thought was it's a good kit, but what is his damage output going to be like? And it looks like his damage output is similar to Star-Lord, so it's kind of on the low side. But if you look at Star-Lord's third special, it does quite a bit damage, and that's at 500% output. And a lot of these other effects on 2 and 3 are going to be in that ballpark. But for me, spreading negative status effects is a theory crafter's dream. I was thinking about spreading blind, but I'm sure that with the teams that are out there right now, it's going to be bleed, right?
It seems like it would be bleed. It almost seems like Carnage could probably be a plug and play in a Brotherhood team. Like you could swap out maybe Mystique or Sabretooth, and you could put him in, and you could just spread pyros, bleeds, and I mean, it would just make it that much more effective than it already is.
Right. And let's go to the second ability, Slaughter. Attack primary target for 420% damage plus 100% additional damage per negative effect. Well, you could get that up probably, what do you think, like 1,000% somehow?
Oh, yeah. I think you could get it up to 1,000.
Yeah. Remove all negative effects from the primary target. Attack adjacent targets for 250% damage. This is awesome, right? It sounds really cool, right?
Awesome. It sounds so good.
Right.
Like it's uncapped damage. You could literally as much as you can, pretty much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I've seen this type of ability in another game, and it gets huge. It can get very big, especially if they introduce like raid bosses or something like that. It could be a lot of fun. And then lastly, before his passive ability, we got Absolute Carnage. Now this can go off turn 1. Attack primary target for 500% piercing. Apply bleed for 2 turns. If the primary target is above 50% health, apply additional bleed for 2 turns. What are your thoughts about that?
Whoa. It seems pretty crazy that turn 1, you can hit 4 bleeds. just right away. I mean, 500% piercing is already going to be very good.
Very high.
Yeah, but you can, I mean, 4 bleed, like that's pretty significant if you did that to like, I don't know, say you did that right away to Juggernaut or something, like that would be pretty significant damage against him in a Brotherhood team first turn.
Yes. And so the last ability, which I think is amazing, when an enemy drops below 25% health, fill speed bar by 30%, and that's with the Omegas, but without that, it's like 20%. Heal 10% of this character's max health. Wow, this kit right here is like a theory crafter's dream. The way I see this working is, he's fast, like 126, 125, something like that. Somebody on your team is going to go first, right? And then he's going to go second, no matter what. Then he's going to do this massive absolute carnage. And I wonder how what the turn order of operation is. If he does the AoE, is he going to have full health and then go again?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. I mean, full turn meter by hitting the other 4 characters, or, I don't know how that's going to work, but I think he's going to go. Someone on your team's going to go, he's going to go, and then he's going to go again.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, so here's why I like this. This is not like the Shield. This is not like Defenders. This is not like Brotherhood. This probably will be a kit that is good for a long time. And even if it's terrible today, there might be a character that comes out 6 months from now that'll make this kit amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
So, because I've been pretty vocal about inorganic synergies, and I think this is amazing. This is like a perfect kit. Plus, he's going to synergize loosely with all the Spider-Verse.
Woohoo, Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right. So you're hyped. You're beyond hyped. Are you hyped like me?
Dude, I'm just like doing everything I can to sit here and just not be like freaking out. Right. Like I just look at his picture and I'm just like, oh yeah.
Now I want to say that this is on MSF.gg, and this is Dead of Mind information, which is inside of the game right now because there's NPCs. But in the past, this information has been very close when the character is finally released. But they could change it, right? I mean, they could, right? But I don't think they will. I think this is very accurate.
Yeah, I mean, they could, but I don't see why they wouldn't, especially if, we're looking at it, we're happy with it. I'm sure other people are going to be happy with it, so why change it?
Right.
So.
Okay. Let's go and take a look at Mantis. So what are your thoughts about Mantis when you saw the kit so far?
So my initial thoughts from what we were reading earlier, it seems like she is going to be a great healer for Guardians and maybe beyond that, depending. I mean, I don't see why not.
Right, and then her kit is specifically tuned for raids. So this is probably, healing is typically not something that's desirable inside of Blitz or the arena, but definitely in raids, right? I mean, it's everything.
Yeah, exactly, because you have to be able to heal. Otherwise, you're paying money or cores to heal your teams. So
right, and it seems like that they're excluding Night Nurse from certain lanes, so I'm sure she's going to be important. It does look like she might become the best healer in the game. She's pretty much everything I wanted Groot to beat. But look at this. Attack primary target for 240% damage. If charged, then addition, stun the target, and then lose the charge. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, yes. I mean, if we'll see this later, of course, but the way that she gets charged is really simple too. Like it's not a big, it's not like a big hoop to jump through.
No, it's going to be turn 1, right? Because her passive ability says on spawn, 75% chance to gain charge. And then if you have the Omega, it's always, and then she's got some healing and some synergy with Guardians. So turn 1 stun with a basic is not terrible.
No, not at all.
You see, that's what I really like about this is that if she's healing, she's going to be healing. But if she's not healing, she's going to be stunning at least one time, right? Per match, it looks like. And I'm sure they might introduce a way of putting charged on characters, or maybe there will be an additional way of getting charged. But I think this is pretty amazing.
Yeah. She's going to have her charge. She's going to stun turn 1.
Right.
Then she's going to heal. And then she can use her other heal. Or I guess it could go any order. Maybe if you wanted to, maybe you went into a node and some characters are low. And I mean, the ability that you can use right away is the Soothe, which is redistributing the health. So maybe turn 1, you redistribute, then you stun, and then you use the other one. You know what I mean? This is going to be a really good character. I'm really excited for her.
Of course, if she could stun on basic every time, that would be amazing. But it looks like she's only going to be able to stun, if she gets the charge, without the Mega, she's going to get the 1 stun. Of course, that could be resisted, but that seems fairly useful. Now, the next 2 abilities are healing in nature. Empathy, heal self, only 4-turn cooldown. Heal self and adjacent allies for 300% health or for 3,000 health, which is not that useful with power creep and things like that. But 15% of this character's max health is incredibly useful. Then heal all additional allies for 10% of this character's max health plus the 1,700. So she's going to super duper heal the people next to her, right? And then basically a 25% heal for the characters that are directly beside her, and the ones that are on the fringe are only going to get 10%. That's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, I still think it's pretty good. And I guess I feel like one other thing to note is that her cooldowns are not high at all.
No.
For either of these healing abilities. So even if 10% ends up not being that much, which I think it will be more than enough, you'll be able to do it again in just a few turns.
Yeah, so you won't have to put Star-Lord next to her. I mean, you can definitely put Star-Lord in the corner next to Rocket, funnel all the energy to Rocket, and she looks like she's going to get healing constantly, 4 on Empathy, 3 on Soothe. That's that's quite often, actually.
Yeah.
And then lastly, apply regeneration to self and adjacent allies. And then inside of the raids, it'll apply regeneration to all the allies. I just think this is amazing healer. She'd probably be the best healer in the game after we get this out and take a look at her. It seems pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really does. I'm excited.
Okay. And then lastly, Soothe. Redistribute health between self and lowest health ally evenly. Heal self and that ally for 2,000. So that'll bypass heal immunity, like if you're going up against Mordo. And then in raids, wow, this is crazy good too, right? Transfer 2 negative effects from both self and that ally to the primary target. Clear positive effects from the primary target. And then you cannot target summoned allies. When would you want to target a summoned ally?
Never.
Never.
I would never want to target a summoned ally.
I'm just curious about that. Why they put that in there? Maybe maybe this is data mined and later it'll be changed. I mean, I don't know, but that's just kind of interesting. And then lastly, will to power on turn heal for 15% of the character's max health. So that's kind of nice. She's kind of going to be healing on her own every turn. There's a lot of characters that do that, like Wolverine and Sabretooth. And then gain 5% max health per Guardian ally, and her healing is based off of her max health, so you're going to want to use her on a Guardian team, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you have all Guardians, and I wonder if it says per Guardian ally, so I assume that doesn't count herself. But that means she's going to get an additional 20% health in a full Guardians team. It's pretty significant.
That's very good. So what are your thoughts about Mantis?
I would say I kind of just feel the same way as you, is that most likely, I mean, it looks like she could be the best healer in the game coming up. I mean, even not on a Guardians team unless her stats are bad, and I was looking at her health earlier and it's not small, it's pretty big. She looks like she could be the best healer in the game even outside of a Guardians team. So we'll see what happens.
She does have a very beefy health pool, yeah. So I'm excited about both these characters. I think both of them, specifically Carnage, lend themselves to theory crafting. And then Mantis may be useful also outside of Guardians, right? But still. Yeah. All right. Well, be sure to head over to Combs' channel. We did a different video over there, and we had different thoughts. And so you got to go check that out. Anything you want to say before we go?
If you don't subscribe to my channel, I'll cry, and it'll be really sad.
I was thinking something more along the lines of Hail Hydra.
Yeah, Hail Hydra. Woohoo!
All right, guys. Thanks for watching and keep on gaming.